Kevin Burkhardt and the boys. Take it away, guys.
All right, Joe, thanks very much, and welcome to the post-game show. And we have got a series, fellas. Derek Jeter, David Ortiz, Alex Rodriguez, a 12-6 Mets win. Poppy, you said 10-2 Mets today. You weren't that far off. You sensed it coming, didn't you?
Well, you know, like I said before, he got average stuff. And in the playoff, normally when you see a pitcher that has average stuff continuously that quick in a short period of time, he didn't make adjustment. This is the big league guy. I mean, we know that the New York Mets, they got good hitter. They have been shut down, but they're good hitter at the end of the day. And I saw all of them making adjustments tonight, and that's the difference of the game.
Look, I tell you, right from the get-go, said the Mets need to score. They need to hit, and just keep scoring the entire game, because I didn't think it was going to be about the pitching staff, because it's, I don't want to say impossible, it's highly unlikely that you're going to shut down the Los Angeles Dodgers lineup. And Pete Alonso came out, got that big hit, and it seemed like offensively they all just exhaled, and they got back to having good at-bats, getting in the strike zone. They drew some walks, and they scored a lot of runs.
October is about setting the tone, and that first inning kind of flipped the script. It looked like second and third, no outs for the Dodgers, and you feel the energy in the building and the fans saying, uh-oh, here we go again. 10th inning of yesterday's game, Mets on the other side, they get 2 runs, and Alonso gets a big home run. Tremendous adjustment. And look, Kevin, these are 2 great teams. Nobody's going to sweep anybody. Everybody's going to hit. A matter now is a 2-game series. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like,
They talked about it yesterday, fellas. The thing about it is, if they won today, which they did, you have a pretty good advantage or a pretty good shot in Game 6 because you got your very best, another left-handed pitcher, Poppy, which we like, and you got a bullpen game, which I think is the reason why Dave Roberts hung in there with Jack Flaherty a little bit longer. He wanted to preserve that bullpen for Game 6, but hey, anything can happen. If they win that at Game 7, you flip a coin.
Yeah, this series is catching up velocity right now, especially having Minaya facing them over there. Minaya pitched a hell of a game. He had the stuff that he know how to control that lineup from the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, he pitched over there. He showed everything he got, and I would not be surprised if he come back and pitch at the same level.
I tell you, you know, I hate to say it, but it reminds me of when we were playing you guys, and Kevin Millar was mic'd during batting practice, and he was going around saying, don't let us win this game, because if we win this game, we got Pedro in Game 5, we got Schilling in Game 6, and who knows what's going to happen in Game 7.
Don't let us win one.
That's why when you have a chance to finish the deal, you finish the deal. Now, obviously, the Mets outslugged the Dodgers. They deserve to win this game, but you need to win when you have that chance.
You're right, Cap. You're right. And Poppy, I have a question for you, because you made a tremendous prediction today about Jack Flaherty and seeing him for the second time. My question to you is, do the Dodgers have that same advantage against Minaya, even though he's a little bit unorthodox with his arm angle?
You know what the only problem will be right there? He had been dominating left-handed batters with that angle that he has. And he had that fastball that he can live through it. Yeah. So that might be the toughest part about it. But yeah, they're great hitters. Yeah. They can make the adjustment. Short period of time. Yeah. It can happen. Why not?
I tell you what, you know, obviously the Mets offense was a story, and Derek, you predicted it, hit. They did that. But there was a critical point in this game, Al. When you go to the 4th inning, right, 8-2, Mets had jumped up front, but you just had a feeling this was going to be a lot of runs. And then the Dodgers load the bases, right? Peterson got a little wild, walk 2, they take him out. They bring on Reed Garrett to face the lefty in Freeman. And this was, maybe no one will talk about it a couple days from now.
This was the biggest moment of the game,
no doubt, right? And how he approached in that backdoor slider, that was impressive.
That was nasty.
It's a grand slam there. All of a sudden, it's 8-6.
Well, even just a base hit, you know, because they had to keep scoring. It's not, you don't always have to get it all back in one swing. But getting it back, they had look, the Mets took a huge lead, but they still had 5-6 innings left. And you saw they kept coming back, So there's no comfort in these games.
You know, KB,
notice.
What's great about October is everyone looks at the 8th and 9th inning, but sometimes you can win a game in the 1st inning or in the 4th inning, and that was the case tonight for the Mets.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think there were a lot of also interesting, you know, lower storylines, like Starling Marte, Poppy. Wow. He had himself a 4-hit night tonight, 3 doubles. He was really, really good. So we kept talking about the Mets top of the order, but they had Francisco Alvarez who delivered a few hits, and Marte 4 hits. That's big for them.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but everything that we predict before the game happened. They need to put pressure on the pitcher. They need to get traffic on the base. And they did it exactly that way. They start putting pressure from the very first inning. So the pitcher start feeling comfortable. They start attacking the strike zone against the Los Angeles Dodgers offense, which is really good.
And go ahead.
No, this was the type of game I was telling Kevin earlier. I said this is the type of game where the Mets, they don't want tomorrow off.
Right.
They'd fly overnight and play a day game in LA if they needed to, because now they're all feeling pretty good about themselves.
We talked about a few things, some themes in October. Contact is king. The Mets go out and strike out 0 today, which is phenomenal. They kept putting pressure on the Dodger team. And then we asked the secondary guys to step up. The 8th and 9th hitter on base 5 times to set up Francisco Lindor and company.
Yeah, that Mets, the no strikeout thing hasn't happened in a playoff game in 22 years.
Wow.
So
Wow.
to give you an idea how big that was.
You know, I love contact.
I'd spot on with that. That's what you've been preaching,
Hey,
no
now.
doubt.
Taylor, World Series champs all around, not me, of course. David Sampson, Marlins president when they won the title. Will Middlebrooks, Boston Red Sox great. And now with us at CBS Sports HQ. David, you're right next to me, so I'm going to get your first thoughts on a game, another high-scoring, blowout-type game in this series. It's kind of amazing to watch.
Well, this series has taught us one thing, which is you can't have a memory of any kind. It's been blowouts every single game. You're never out of a series. You're just out of a game. And when you're down 3-1, I know the exact mentality needed, because we were down 3-1 in 03, and you have to win Game 5 in order to get to a 6 and a 7. And guess what? The Mets are really good at this, taking it step by step by step, not being overwhelmed by the mountain, but being very cognizant of the hill. And Pete Alonso got them going, and they carried it for 9 innings.
Will, what do you make of what we've seen so far through 5 games between these two teams?
Well, first thing I want to talk about today, just a little bit, because I love that David brought up mentalities, because this was 2 teams with 2 completely different mentalities today, and you could see it, right? Especially out of the gates. One team with a 3-1 lead who let their foot off the gas early, which is normal in these situations, right? You're comfortable. You know you're going back to your home stadium, and you're thinking we can at least win 1 or 2 at home, right? But then you have a team like the Mets who... You just leave the door cracked for these guys and they kick it open. But they've been thriving with this whole underdog mentality for the whole season, and that's their identity. They want people to count them out. They want people to say, oh, they're dead, they got no chance, because that's when they play their best. So this group was backed into a corner. You saw it today. They came out and with the first punch, with Alonso going deep to center on a pitch that was going to hit the ground, for God's sake. I mean, that could have been Pete Alonso's last game ever in a Met uniform, and he does that. So don't count this team out. They've been doing this since June.
Yeah, look, you've seen it before. In fact, you've been part of a team that came back from 3-1 down. The Mets have never come back from 3-1 down in franchise history. What does it take to do that?
So, listen, it's a great stat where we talk about what happened in franchise history. There's not one player of the 26 Mets who are focused on what the Mets have done in franchise history. They're focused on this team and what they have going right now. And they're focused on the fact that they actually view that they're better than the Dodgers, that the Dodgers pitching staff cannot contain them. And they know they've got a bullpen game coming for Game 6, not announced, but I'll bet you $1, which leaves the Mets with an open door to get tired arms for a possible Game 7. So the roadmap is right there for them, and the key is don't look ahead to Game 7. Get yourself to LA, but make sure you have a suitcase for 2 days in LA and maybe a trip to Cleveland. You never know.
Will, have you seen this before? Can you envision what's going to happen here if the Mets are to win this thing?
So I love what David said is the Mets think they're better. Of course they do. Like, they've been the best team in baseball since June 1st. And they've proved that over and over and over again by beating good teams. So I think that they know, look, we're going to get on a plane. We're going to head west. We have this day off. And we're going Sean Manaea, who's been filthy since he changed his arm slide. He dropped down to that low 3/4. He's got this Chris Sale action to his stuff. He had Ohtani taking swings that were uncomfortable. He had even righties like Mookie Betts looking uncomfortable. So they're feeling good about going into this. I was a little confused with using Edwin Diaz for 2 innings when you're up 6 and you really don't have to. I understand Mendoza wanting to just shut the door and make sure they win this game, but you have other games to deal with and you're up 6. But they definitely feel like, to David's point, They feel like the ball's in their court. They feel like this is where they want to be. I said this earlier. They love being the underdog, and they're definitely that going into LA against a really good Dodgers team.
Look, we're going to preview Game 6 in just a little bit, but that's not until after a break. But I want to get your opinion from a player's perspective and a front office perspective, because here they are playing in Queens. It is Friday night. The game has just ended. It's almost 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. The next game isn't until Sunday night. Will, as a player, would you rather grab your stuff, get on a plane right now, take a red eye and get in super late, the reverse red eye, and get in super late in the West Coast, or would you rather sleep in your own bed, wake up in the morning, and fly to LA? And then after that, I want to hear what the front office might be thinking. Will, you start?
No, I want to leave. I want to leave tonight. I want to get there, have the whole day there under that time zone. But also, you want to get on the plane with the boys, right? After a game like that, you want to get on there. You want to play some cards. You want to have some drinks with the boys and hang out and keep this vibe going that they've had going for months now. You're going to go sleep. You're going to get up early. It's just going to be a whole different vibe getting on a plane tomorrow, regardless if it makes sense or not, whatever the sleep coach says or the nutritionist or whatever. You get on a plane tonight and go hang out with the boys, and that's his team. The Jesse Winkers of this team who drive people nuts the way he plays the game. The Jose Iglesias, the Lindors, these different attitudes and mentalities on this team, they mesh perfectly. Take this momentum right now, get on the plane, and go.
As the president of the team, I don't want an extra night in the hotel because that's money. But guess what? During the playoffs, yeah, we're getting right on the plane. If it's a shorter flight, so Will, we traveled to New York for Game 6 of the World Series. We traveled during the off day, short flight. We slept in our own beds after Game 5 at home. But if you're traveling cross country, we're definitely getting on the plane. We want to get to LA, do an optional workout at Chavez Ravine tomorrow, or give players the day off if they want. But getting there with the time change, you're in the hotel and your keys, as you know, are waiting for you. They're in bed by 2:33, which is about when they're going to go to bed anyway. So I definitely am getting myself to LA tonight.
All right, so the Mets take Game 5, 12-6 over the LA Dodgers, forcing a Game 6 at least Sunday night in LA. David Sampson and Will Middlebrooks are going to be here when we come back after the break. When we talk about Game